I'll admit, when I think of games that showcase some type of magic in their lore, Stardew Valley isn't necessarily an example that jumps out to me. I'm more inclined to list out games with spellcasting mechanics, or a deep, arcane evil that poses a threat to the world at large. Of course, the wizard's tucked away tower and our good little apple-looking fellows in the community center have piqued my interest in the past. However, the magic of Pelican Town is a vital part of the game's expansive backdrop. There's much more to the valley's mysticism than meets the eye, and it quickly becomes visible if you're a loser who likes reading wikis. If you aren't, good news, I am, and today I'm going to lay out my findings. Let's go on a journey together and explore the depths of Stardew's magic. Now, the concept of magic as a whole can be taken in a few different ways. For this video, I will be discussing both things within the game that are explicitly referred to as magic, and also items that would commonly be associated with magic in folklore. The fun part about researching for this script is that I was left with way more questions than answers, so you're gonna have to bear with me. This game is like a Looney Tunes trap for my brain that keeps setting off every time I try to get out of it. It's really dire. We're going to begin with the most direct mentions of magic, which of course originate with the wizard. The wizard, or Rizzmodius, is one of our first brushes with the arcane in the valley. After a little fright in the community center when we encounter a junimo, we attempt to read an unknown language on the craft room plaque. This triggers our favorite manic panic in the shade ultraviolet wearing adulterer allegedly to send us a letter. His note offers insight on what you saw and gives you an invitation to his little abode in the cindersap forest. When you head to his little Rapunzel tower to get the first cutscene, he drops a few interesting puzzle pieces right away. During his introduction, he calls himself a master of the 7 elementals. If you're wondering what the fuck elementals are, don't worry, you didn't miss a vital part of the storyline. This concept is mentioned only a few other times in the game. One of these is in a cutscene shared by the dwarf and Krobus in the depths of the sewers, where the two of them get into a physical fight. The beatdown is spurred on by the dwarf confronting Krobus, blaming him for their family's demise in the elemental wars. These wars were a century-long conflict between the dwarves and shadow people, which drove the dwarven species to near extinction and caused the shadow people to flee underground. Krobus offers an apology, but the dwarf does not accept it, as is his right, leading to the clash between the two. Rizzmodius shows up to pull them off each other, saying that the wars have long been over, and asks them to make peace with one another. Stay with me, okay? I jingle my keys, I play the TikTok sound so your brain gets tricked into thinking it's watching a short video and your attention span stays put. Most likely, we can either say that the elemental wars were named as such because both the dwarves and shadow people are considered elementals, or that elementals are not a people but a thing, one that was being fought over. I lean towards the former, and I'll tell you why. A blurb from the wizard's Steam trading card, which is like a whole market, I guess, I don't know, says that he's fluent in many elemental languages. Although it isn't accessible in-game, we also have data mine dialogue from him at the Spirits' Eve festival, which reads, "The affairs of mundane folk matter little to me, but the elementals like a chance to see you up close. It was for them that I created this silly maze." I think that piece itself confirms that the elementals are living creatures. The maze he mentions is also very close to the caves, a prime spot for the dwarves to settle, which further points to them being elementals. We see our little dwarf guy in that cave, selling his shit. Good for him, he's a little businessman, just don't let him get too power hungry and also don't let him around women. One quote from Rizzmodius, accessible on rainy days, reads, "Stormy days are the only time I can commune with certain elementals." This might also point to dwarven culture, as the dwarf mentions rain being mythical to his people on gloomy days as well. In terms of what the other 5 are, they really could be a multitude of creatures, even some we aren't aware of. I have a guess that goblins may be one of them, since we rarely see them in the game, but things like mermaids are also a contender. Anyway, let's put a pin in that for now, we'll get back to it. Switching back over to the wizard's initial cutscene, we see him summon a junimo in a candlelit circle. He refers to them as spirits of the forest and reassures you that there's no reason to fear them. We know that somehow these little guys can be manipulated to appear at will with magic. This is corroborated with the Junimo hut you can purchase later on in the game from Rizzmodius, but again, we'll get there. He says that these creatures won't talk to him, despite the fact that he then leaves to translate the unknown language in the community center. It's not an issue of him understanding, it's certainly an issue of them being quiet, which is odd. He reads the note that you found in the craft room back to you, in which the Junimos say that they are happy to help you restore the place in exchange for gifts from the valley. It closes with, if you are one with the forest, then you will see the true nature of this scroll. In order to become one with the forest, you're fed a potion by the wizard, which unlocks the community center in full. The potion is made up of various foraging ingredients from the Cindersap area, but none mentioned are actually available to find during gameplay. This is referred to as having forest magic, and you gain the ability to actually interact with the Junimos in cutscenes. We know that the Junimos are able to use some sort of magic to restore the town, as shown in cutscenes after completing the community center bundles. Since we have to gather items before they're able to do that, it's unclear if they need those items to perform their magic, or if they see your contributions as a simple trade deal. They obviously have powers, but they seem to be unable to collect what they need alone. I think that dulls any ideas of them being godlike figures or swaying the valley as a whole, but it definitely isn't confirmed. Maybe they're just lazy. Nobody wants to work anymore, get off your ass and work. Little pea-sized leech on our economy. The Junimos and the concept of forest magic as a whole really aren't further explored, but as I mentioned in my Yoba video, they seem to be thought of as myths by the town's villagers, according to a book in Penny's room anyway. Other pieces of the wizard's hidden event dialogue have interesting information too. During the dance of the Moonlight Jellies event, he mentions that said jellies have an unusually potent magical aura for an aquatic life form. Specifically mentioning the potency makes me wonder if most creatures in the Stardew universe have some sort of magical aura to them, possibly at various different intensities depending on species. He also says that the Moonlight Jellies go by another name, Lunaloos. That's such a cute name, I feel like he's gatekeeping it. What language is that, Rizzmodius? Why are you trying to make me sound dumb by calling them Moonlight Jellies? You want me to fail? You want me to fail? The town itself might have some sort of innate magic too, as he says that he purposefully built his tower above a potent magical field. What this does exactly in terms of its effect on his magic isn't really mentioned, so he could just be blowing it out of proportion for shits and gigs, we don't know. Besides the aforementioned Junimo hut, the only other buildings Rizzmodius can provide you with are the warp obelisks and the golden clock. The warp obelisks are pretty straightforward, with their sole purpose being to teleport you across the map. We see the same function in the warp totems, except they're single use and can be crafted by the player. This means that teleportation magic is somewhat easily accessible to, at the very least, you. Whether or not this is due to your forest magic is unknown, but it's clearly a somewhat learnable skill. Another item we see the teleportation function in is the return scepter, which is available for purchase from Krobus at the hefty price of 2 million gold. I want to make a tariff joke, but I feel like that dates this video too much, does it? Hopefully it dates it. Jesus Christ. This item acts as a reusable version of the farm warp totem, which transports you right back to your front door at will. Here's where I'm gonna play connect the dots with random information, okay? If you're a Yoba head, you already know this, but the return scepter was originally supposed to be an item that you had to charge at Yoba's altar before use, but that detail was removed from the final product. This could mean that teleportation magic comes directly from Yoba, if not magic in general, rather than the two being separate entities that act independently. There's also the golden clock, which stops debris from appearing on your farm and keeps fences from decaying. I assume this has something to do with forest magic since it's controlling the growth of plants, but we have no damn clue how this item works or where it originates from, other than the wizard being able to build it. Gold is often representative of Yoba though. If we look at the Yoba altar itself and many of the depictions of the Yoba symbol, gold is a common theme. Of course, no concrete evidence on any of that, but much to think about. We can't talk about the wizard without mentioning his ex-wife, the witch, who features heavily in the Goblin Problem quest. Rizzmodius sets you off to retrieve magic ink from the witch's swamp, but in order to enter said swamp, you must find a dark talisman. The dark talisman is retrieved after talking to Krobus and entering an area in the sewers full of mutated bugs. Little to no context is given about any of that, but whatever, I guess. After you acquire the talisman and head past the railroad, you warp into an area guarded by a goblin who refuses to let you enter the witch's hut. The only way to get past him is to gift him void mayonnaise. Void salmon are also available to catch in this area, which is notable because of void essence's association with dark energy. We could see the witch as a void or evil counterpart to the wizard, who is associated with brightness, more traditionally good themes of the forest. This is further explored with the 3 shrines inside the witch's hut, which are all on the more morally unsavory side of things, at least to some people. The dark shrine of selfishness turns your children into doves. The dark shrine of memory makes ex-spouses forgive and forget. The dark shrine of night terrors allows monsters to spawn on your farm. They tamper more with human beings than the world itself. The magic ink that you were actually sent in to get, found on the table, doesn't do much other than drive quest completion, but that quest is how you access the wizard's building catalog. We don't know if the witch of Wizard Divorce fame is the same witch that drops void eggs in your coop during random events, but with the association to void essence, we can make some assumptions. Rizzmodius and his associates are our biggest source of magic information, so my next miscellaneous talking points will jump around quite a lot. I'm sorry, I'll try my best to keep it cohesive, but my thoughts are really meant to free range like a beautiful herd of cows. They need grass and sunlight. They're not getting it though. Let me tell you, they're not getting it. Another place where we see some evidence of magic accessible by the player is the Mastery Cave, which is unlocked once you've reached level 10 in every skill. The Mastery Cave carries over experience that you earn into a new bar. When that bar is filled, you're able to claim mastery of any given skill. Mastering a skill gives you a special set of perks pertaining to that skill, as well as the occasional item or recipe. For example, farming mastery gives you an iridium scythe, a recipe for a statue of blessings, and the ability to find golden animal crackers, which double the amount of items produced by animals. The Statue of Blessings is particularly intriguing, as touching it gives the player a different buff of magical origin each day. These blessings range from stat boosts to higher friendship gains to infinite energy. There's even one that causes a prismatic butterfly to spawn randomly within the valley, which gives out gold and has a possibility to drop a prismatic shard. The statue's sprite itself is a bit peculiar, since it doesn't bear any similarities to any other magical symbols within the game. It looks like a woman, possibly one praying or thinking. There's also the statue of the Dwarf King, which is unlocked with mining mastery and gives out 2 mining related powers daily. The dwarves were known for their advanced technology before the war, and we also see more evidence of them being involved with magic when we look at the Dwarven Forge. This forge allows you to enchant certain tools to make them more effective for daily use. You can, of course, upgrade your tools normally, but the word enchantment makes me feel like there's some sort of magic involved. The Mastery Cave itself seems to have been Grandpa's before he passed, as he leaves the farmer a note explaining that its walls hold some of his most prized possessions. How he acquired statues and items with banger magical powers is unclear, but that could add credence to the Grandpa's Yoba theory that plenty of people hold. But we do know that Grandpa and Mr. Key have spoken and were friends, so that could maybe have a part in it. Mr. Key, aka the head of my Nightmare Blunt rotation, obviously looks a bit obtuse in general, so it's no surprise that he's somehow able to procure magical items. In the Walnut Room on Ginger Island, we can exchange key gems for a few mystical trinkets, such as magic bait, which makes all fish available to catch regardless of weather or season. There's also the Galaxy Souls used in the forging of the Galaxy Sword, as well as the Horse Flute, which summons your horse to any location. The Junimo chest, which links 2 chests in different areas to the same stash of items, has a description that does explicitly mention that it's powered by forest magic. So it seems that forest magic can also imbue items or structures. I already did a video on Mr. Key, and I'm not kidding when I say that there is absolutely nothing that explains who or what he is. This and my other video are the absolute best I have for you, man. I have no explanation. Oddly enough, some of the most traditionally magic entities entities in Stardew have little to no lore surrounding them. The crop fairy only appears in her designated crop growing cutscene, and mysterious items like star drops really just serve the brief moments they're needed in. Although there is the fairy trinket that spawns in a similar looking sprite to help you in battle. There are a lot of small things like mermaids, old master cannoli, and Welwick's oracle that really act as freestanding story pieces, and thus there isn't much to talk about with them. I do love the small peeks we get into the realm of Stardew's magic, and I hope that we can see more lore drops regarding the arcane and haunted chocolatier. But that is all that I have for you. I know I didn't touch on anything, but I didn't want to just list random items at the end that I didn't have any lore for, so this is what you get. Thank you so much to those of you who suggested this video. I saw quite a few comments mentioning it, so I really appreciate that. Magic video for you as a treat. There you go. Thank you so much to all of my members. You guys are the greatest. I really appreciate you, and thank you for watching this video. Stay safe, stay wonderful, my friends, and goodbye.